Hello, and welcome to Guidance for a Better Life. Today, my guest is going to share how twice the voice of God, that's right, the voice of God literally saved his life, or at least prevented serious accident. And as a bonus, elephants are involved. I mean, really big elephants. You don't want to miss this. So, hi, Irv.
Hi, Dale.
This is Irv Kempf, and it's hard. I've known you for many years, but I didn't know you when you were an elephant handler.
Yes.
Or trainer, or
the handler.
caretaker,
Yeah.
I guess. Elephants,
Giraffes and Thompson's gazelles.
lions and tigers and bears, or just elephants,
Just-
giraffes? And
Yeah, just the
Okay.
elephants and giraffes. Mostly with the elephants.
so one time the voice of God saved your life. It was involved with elephants.
Yes.
This is a long, really cool story, and I'd be better off if I'm just quiet for a while. So,
Well, I was working in a zoo, and we took care of 5 female African elephants: Sophie, Sita, Kubwa, Tombi, and Ivory.
oh, you remember all their names?
Oh, I'll never forget them. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
And this experience took place in the wintertime on a very cold day. And I had gone to the zoo cafeteria to get lunch, and I was walking back to where I worked with the elephants at the elephant barn and exhibit. And it was very cold, and there was a nearby river, and it was a very cold, wet wind coming off. So I decided to take a shortcut. And I knew the elephants pretty well by now. I'd been working with them for over a year, and we fed them and we bathed them and we took care of their feet.
You said you got really close to them. You knew
Yeah.
each of their personalities.
And they had, you could tell, I could feel that they loved me and I loved them too. It was an awesome bonus that I never expected when I took the job.
Cool.
I just thought it would be awesome to work with elephants, and then there was this new dimension to it. So on this cold day, I'm walking back, and I decided to take a shortcut through the elephant exhibit instead of walking all the way around it to get to the elephant barn. And there was a dry moat that's about 8 to 10 feet deep, and instead of a moat with water in it around the exhibit. And then that way there weren't big tall fences that would get in the way of people observing the elephants. They didn't have to look through a fence.
But
They
the
could look-
elephants couldn't get through the moat. Was it
Right.
too steep?
It was too steep and it was too wide. They couldn't jump it.
Okay.
Elephants don't jump too well. So,
Yeah.
uh, so
I
I,
don't think they fly well either.
so as I came back toward the exhibit, there were some really big rocks in there where the elephants like to lean against on days when the sun heats the rocks.
Okay.
They would lean on the rocks and doze. So as I came back, I saw that only one elephant, Kubwa, was out in the elephant exhibit, and she was asleep, leaning on a rock. And the rest of the elephants were up in the barn out of the wind where it was warmer. So I knew that Kubwa was excitable. So I didn't want to scare her. So
Before you go on, she was over 6,000 pounds?
She was 6,500 pounds.
6,500.
And about 8 feet at the shoulder.
Wow.
And that was about a medium-sized elephant.
Okay.
The biggest one was 11,000 and almost 11 feet tall at the shoulder.
Wow.
And that was Sophie. But I said, as I would talk to her then, "Hey, Scooby-Doo." And I heard her rumble. She knew my voice. She knew it was me. And they had different vocalizations, and this was a friendly hello from her. So I thought everything's fine. So I climbed down in the moat, went across the moat, climbed back out of the moat, and as I'm coming up over the top of to get up on the elephant yard, I see her shadow coming around from behind the rock. So I thought, oh, great, she's coming over to greet me. So I pop up in front of her, and instead of her greeting me, for some reason she was scared. She was startled. It was like I went up and said boo or something.
Okay.
But when they get scared, their ears go out to full extension. They stand up straighter, and they look very imposing. And she let out this deafening distress call. And when the elephants let out a call like that, you feel the sound waves go through your body. So she was calling the other elephants up in the barn because it startled her.
Wow.
So I talked to her calmly, and she realized it was me, and she calmed down. And then just seconds later, I turned to go up the hill into the elephant barn, and the other 4 elephants come out in full defense mode, ready to form up around it.
quickly, or are they running?
They're running. They're coming out
Running.
fast, and elephants can
Wow.
move faster than we can when they want to. And the
Now,
four,
they're coming to rescue the one that just calmed down.
yes,
Cuba.
yeah, but they didn't know she was okay yet.
Okay.
So they came out and gave their distress call, or their charge, or whatever the call would be, and that got Cuba excited again.
Okay.
So, and in the meantime, I had walked up the hill, which put me in a position between the four that are charging down the hill and Cuba, who was calling for them. And my first impulse is to run. And just as I'm trying to decide where to run, I hear a voice say, just a very calm voice, just stand still. And I had never heard that voice before. But in that moment, I got calm. And I stood still. And the elephants ran right past me. And in a calm, strong, very strong voice that surprised me, I said, it's me, girls. It's all right. It's me, girls.
Yeah.
And we used to refer them as a group as the girls, because that's how they were referred to in the movie Dumbo.
Okay.
I don't know if you've ever seen that movie, but they would call each other the girls, when they got together. So I said, it's me, girls. And they calmed down. And I'm standing there trying to just put it all together. And they were calm, and they just walked up to the barn like nothing had happened.
If you had run, was there a good chance you would have been hit by a running elephant?
I think so. Yeah, they might have seen me as the threat running away or whatever. That's what I felt
And make
ever
things
since.
worse.
Yeah.
Now this voice, whose voice do you believe it was?
I believe it was God's voice.
God's voice.
God's voice came to me, and I had never heard it before, but I trusted it, and I
So it
followed
was
it.
firm and strong.
Yes, and the voice. And I'm standing there thinking maybe I'm going to get trampled, and I felt peaceful.
So this is one of the examples where you believe God's voice saves your
Yes.
life. So it's not just the voice. It's the voice to tell you firmly and calmly what to do,
Mm-hmm.
but also you actually felt different. You felt calm,
There was the calmness and the peace that came with it,
which is
and actually
is
a
odd,
trust
and that's-
and a trusting of that voice.
okay.
And,
You hadn't heard it before, but you
Yeah.
felt calm and peaceful,
Yes.
and you trusted and followed it,
mm-hmm.
and your life probably depended on it.
Yes.
Wow.
So
Glad you're
and
here.
it took me, like, for days afterwards, I would replay what happened, and at first I didn't realize that, the voice gave me these things, and I would start to realize, oh, I felt so peaceful. How did that happen? Where did my voice come from? Like, I was given the strength to say just the right thing in the right tone, and the elephants responded.
And you said in your story that you were surprised your voice was so calm.
Yes.
In the situation, you thought your voice would be different, not calm, and it might make the situation worse.
Mm-hmm.
So you were given directions firmly and calmly, don't move, and then you felt enough peace, and you were surprised when I first heard your story that your voice remained calming for the elephants.
Yes.
And it didn't make things worse. And you credit that's the voice of God.
I do.
And you feel like could have been hurt bad or killed.
It could either or. If they had decided that I was a threat, I would have been killed.
Wow. Then everything settled back down. They went back
And,
to
and the day just went on like it was normal.
wow.
Fortunately, they live in the moment, and they calm down quickly.
Okay. Not like us.
Yeah.
If we're upset, we hold it for days and weeks sometimes. That's cool. We can learn from elephants. You get over something, calm down and move on instead of hanging on to it and let fear or worry bleed into every area of your life. They don't do that. I guess we can learn from them. So, very cool. Very cool. Was that the end of your elephant work, or did you stay with them for a while?
No, I stayed.
Stayed?
I was there. Yeah, I was there for about 6 more months.
And you felt comfortable and trusting, and everything was fine.
Yes.
Cool story. Do you still take shortcuts in life?
I consider them much more carefully.
Yeah. So, very cool. Thanks for sharing that.
Oh, you're welcome.
Great elephant story, but it's really more the elephants about hearing the voice of God.
Yeah.
Very, very cool. Now, you had another example, no elephants, but a really big truck about the size of an elephant.
Yeah.
Would you like to share that? Or
This was about 5 years later, and I had started coming to the school. I had met you. I was starting to develop a relationship with God, more trust with God. I was becoming more and more aware of how much God loved me, and I was beginning to realize that I love Him too.
Yeah.
So we had the beginnings of a two-way communication going on at this point, and I was aware. At this point, I think I could look back on the elephant situation and realize that was the voice of God, because you had taught us to recognize communications with God in different ways.
Right.
It's not just it can be a feeling, it can be something someone else says in a conversation, but there's something special about it directed to you. It can be a bird flying by. It can be in so many ways. Or it can be the voice that I heard.
And we call it the language of divine. It's one of the things we teach up here at the Guidance for Better Life Retreat Center, how to recognize God's guidance and love all day long. It's just a lot of people miss it because they don't know what to look for.
Yeah.
And now that you know that, you see God's love for you virtually every day.
All the time. And I'm still learning to recognize it. There's still things that I recognize now that I didn't recognize a year ago, and I imagine that's going to continue for as long as I do my part. I will see more and more blessings in my life.
But after being up here at the school for many years, you're more sure or less sure that elephant story, that the voice of God saved you?
I am so much more sure.
More sure.
Yeah.
Okay. And you had a similar experience, different but similar. Later, I guess your son and daughter were in your vehicle, and you heard something, and it didn't happen right away. It happened a little bit later. What was that?
We had moved to a new state, and we lived in a new home, and it was at the top of a hill. And we had a long driveway that curved up through the woods, about 300 feet long.
I heard it was a very steep driveway.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I was bringing my kids home from school one day, and I was driving, and as I approached my driveway to make the turn into the driveway, I heard the voice again. And this time it said, "Watch out for the UPS truck."
That's pretty specific.
And I had learned to trust that voice.
Okay.
And the trust was growing. So I stopped, and I looked up the driveway, and I didn't see a UPS truck. So I went on up the driveway.
Did you doubt at that time because you didn't see a truck?
No.
You remembered
No.
it then?
I was puzzled, but no, I didn't have doubt.
Okay.
So the very next day, I picked up the kids from school. We're driving back. We're about to turn into the driveway. I remembered the previous day's warning, and I stopped and I looked up the driveway. And the UPS truck was halfway down the driveway. He was trying to slow down. He was going way too fast. You could hear his brakes screeching. And if I had turned up the driveway, we would have met head on somewhere about the middle of the driveway.
Wow.
And he wasn't able to stop until he got all the way to the bottom, and he went slightly out into the road. So he was going way too fast. He would have
hit you then for sure.
Yeah. And I remember the look on his face and how pale he was when he finally came to a stop at the end of the driveway, and he was shaking. He knew he had gone too fast. And I sat there and I said a prayer of thanks that I was alive, my children were alive, the driver was alive, and none of us was injured.
Nobody got hurt.
And I was thankful for that voice that I heard.
It's interesting you heard it, but it didn't happen until a day later. I wonder if and I don't know, and I haven't talked to you about this, but I wonder if God was testing you if you still trusted from many years before with the elephants. Have you ever thought of that?
No. But I could see where that could happen.
Yeah, I have no idea.
And I also felt the second day, if I hadn't remembered, I almost felt like he would have spoken again.
Okay.
That's something I felt in my heart.
Okay.
But that I remembered, he didn't have to.
All right.
But I have that trust that he didn't want us to be harmed.
Have you ever had doubts, or you real solid that was the voice? Literally.
No, I've never had doubts on that.
Cool.
When I had the experience with the elephants, I couldn't explain it at that time. I didn't have I hadn't been getting some of your teachings and didn't have any way to understand what had happened, but I started to piece it together as I continued to look back over my life. Wow. Once I started to understand how God speaks to us and watches out for us, and we often don't recognize it, I started to look back and I said, oh, well, that's what happened with the elephants. And then when I heard the voice again with the UPS truck, I knew something was up.
So if
And I
somebody
knew
says,
to listen to that voice.
if somebody says God loves you, that you're okay with that then.
Yes, and I agree wholeheartedly.
Yeah. No,
And he loves my children, and he actually loves everybody.
he does.
Yeah.
And I wish everybody knew that.
Hmm.
I wish all souls, all children of God knew how much God loved and cherished them, regardless of their social status or whether they go to church or not. He loves his children. And you know that real well now. You had two beautiful experiences to help you never doubt. Is there anything else you'd like to share, Irv?
I'm so thankful for those experiences, but I'm also thankful for the relationship I have with God, knowing that he looks out for me, that he loves me, that he loves my family and looks out for them, knowing that everything in my life is a blessing, even if I don't see it in the moment.
Absolutely.
If I'm patient, I'll eventually know how it's blessing me. And it just makes everything so incredibly sweeter to go through life like that.
Absolutely. I can relate.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for coming in today.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching. I hope you're still here. And most of you don't have to worry about elephants, but in your own way, maybe you realize that one of you out there, or some of you have heard something similar, or felt protection or peace or guidance from the divine. You're not nuts. It's very real. And he truly loves all of you just like he loves Irv. Irv has learned to recognize the love, and I hope you all learn to recognize the love in your life. He truly does love you. And thank you for watching. I hope this blessed you in some way. Thank you.